Good day everyone, welcome to our new episode of Math Tutorial, a continuation of our previous episode on variations, types of variations to be specific. We're done with direct variation, so let's move on to inverse variation. We will have three objectives of today: identify an inverse variation, write the equation of an inverse variation, and solve problem involving inverse variation. So what is inverse variation? Inverse variation is a type of variation between two quantities wherein as one increases, the other one decreases. And when one decreases, the other one increases. Okay, inverse variation also describes the relationship between two quantities that are inversely proportional. The statement y varies inversely as x is written or translated as y is equal to k over x, where k is the constant of variation. Again, k is the constant of variation. Okay, so we can further, I think we can further our learning, our understanding on that topic or the topic inverse variation by making use of example. So example, if y varies inversely as x and y is equal to 8 when x is equal to 3, what is the equation of variation? Okay, the question is, what is the equation of the variation? So simple, very simple. Okay. So from the equation, y is equal to k over x, that is the translation of your y varies inversely as x, you have to solve the constant of variation first, and you can use k is equal to x. You just derive it from that equation. You multiply x and y, that should be your constant of variation since it's inverse. Y is equal to k over x. You just have to get your k by multiplying x times y. Then substitute the values of x and y that were given in the problem. So k is equal to 3 times 8 since x is 3, y is 8. Or you have now your constant of variation, which is 24. But the problem is asking you to give your equation of variation. Therefore, you can now write this equation of variation, which is y is equal to 24 over x. Because your constant of variation is 24, you simply substitute 24 to k. Then you have already your equation of variation. Let's have example 2. In the example number 2, if C varies inversely as D and C is equal to 12 when D is 5, what is the equation of variation? So as you can see, our variables here are C and D, not anymore X and Y. But take note, whatever is the variable first mentioned, C varies inversely as D, that means C is dependent to D, all right? Meaning, yeah, D is in the, kaso lang, it's inverse relation. Okay, the relation is inverse, the variation is inverse. Okay, so you need to translate first the variation statement into equations. So where was that? What statement is pertained? That is C varies inversely as D. So you need to translate that. Okay, so if you're now to translate it, you will say that C is equal to K over D, right? C is equal to D over, C is equal to K over D. That's your translation in C varies inversely as D. And then you can have your solution starting here. Solve first for your constant of variation. So your constant of variation would be the product of your C and D. So K is equal to C and D. Because if you derive it from your original equation, C is equal to K over D, you can have K is equal to C times D. Thus, your K is 12 times 5 since your C is 12 and your D is 5. Therefore, your answer, your constant of variation, is 60. Now, after getting your constant of variation, you are now ready to give your equation of variation. And what is that? What is that equation of variation? So here, our equation would then be C is equal to K over D, diba? As we translate the statement. So we can now substitute the value of our k so we can have our equation of variation. That is, that is, when we substitute k to the equation, c is equal to k over d to the given equation of variation, then it would have been c is equal to 60 over d. And that's what we call the equation of variation. That's your answer for the problem. What is the equation of variation? So your answer should be c is equal to 60 over d. And example number 3. In example number 3, if z varies inversely as x and z is equal to 9 when x is equal to 4, find z when x is equal to 24. Okay, so the problem here is you need to find z when x is equal to 24. But take note, again, take note, we cannot give the value of z without first your equation of variation. But without your constant of variation, also you cannot give your equation of variation. Therefore, we need to find first our constant of variation, then the equation of variation, saka pa you can give the z, the value of z. So, the equation z is equal to k over x, our translation of z varies inversely as x, um, will be our guide, our equation. So solve first for the constant of variation k using, of course, k is equal to xz. You have to get the product of x times z, and that will give you your constant of variation. Now, if you substitute the first set of values of z and x, you could have your k as equal to 9 times 4, or k is equal to 36. Since your z is 9, your x is 4. Again, your constant of variation is 36. Now you are ready to give your equation of variation. So what is your equation of variation? Okay, your equation of variation would have become, of course, you have to solve first your equation of variation. Your equation of variation is z is equal to 24, right? Yeah, what is your variation, by the way? You can look into your variation. That it's 36. Oh, that's my variation. So, I mean, constant of variation. So that's the case, 36. So if you are now to solve for your z, when x is 24, using the equation z is equal to k over x, you will have z is equal to 36 over 24 because your k is 36, 9 times 4. And then your x is 24, then you need to find your new z, other z. So 36 over 24 can be simplified as 3 halves, and you can write that in either mixed number or decimal, but it's more acceptable if you have it in fraction or decimal. So you can have 1.5 or 3 halves is 1.5, and that you can say that your value of z is 1.5. Now you can now compare, relate x and z. Your x is larger number 24, but your z is 1.5, a small number. As it gives us idea that as x increases, the value of z decreases. And if the value of z will increase, our x will decrease. This is how inverse variation works. Okay, the quantities goes, the other one goes up, the other quantity goes down. And if the other quantity goes down, the other quantity goes up. Okay. I think it would be all. I hope you learned something from this short presentation, video presentation. Thank you for watching and God bless. Bye.